We have just had the World Motorsport Council meeting, which means that it is going to be a busy week to talk about in the general notice. I'm only focusing on one of the issues today. Let's get into talk about what's coming up on the channel this week, though. And to start off, we are going to be looking at Formula E in Shanghai. We're going to be looking at F1 in Silverstone. We're going to be looking at some of the endurance races that have happened on the weekend just gone. Spa 24, Watkins Glen. I think, is it still 6 hours of the Glen? I can't remember. I feel like it's just a shorter race this time around, isn't it? Because the 6 hours went to Rodam. NASCAR at Sonoma. Potentially looking ahead to the World Endurance Championship in Interlagos. Potentially as well talk about like WRC in Estonia. And yeah, obviously Formula 1 and Formula E for reviews, as well as Rally2-Roma Capital. Depending on how it all shakes out, I might get my Rome review out on the Monday, which would push the general notice back to the Tuesday, which might double up with Euro RX and Holiers. I've also got a bunch of other series to catch up on, though. Super Formula, Supercars, and TCRs. So we'll see how all of that pans out over the coming days. But for now, let's talk World Motorsports Council. Because this is going to make the big kind of event for this general notice, the Rally2-Kit cars. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Arguably one of the bigger ramifications was the removal of term limits. I've done my own video on that. If I can remember, we'll link it in the description down below. But yes, the FIA has approved the Rally2-Kit platform, a way for the Rally2 cars to compete on a level with the Rally 1 cars. What it will be is things like more aero, little bit of pieces here in regards to some other parts that can cost up to €7,500. I think they'll also come in slightly lighter than the WRC 27 cars. But they have a really lovely convoluted name. Their official name for the FIA is Rally2 Kit, which is the most FIA way of doing things. It sounds very convoluted. It means very little, but means a lot at the same time. But what's also quite FIA is when you look at who is going to be making a Rally2 kit car. For example, Hyundai, as far as we're aware, are not going to be doing it. Skoda have ruled it out emphatically, and Skoda were the kind of ones where you're like, oh, Talksport basically shows up to every round of the WRC. The Fabia is a leading Rally 2 car. Why not have something like this, and then they can do that? The problem is finding a team to do every round of the WRC next season. You have to do that if you're doing Rally 2 kit. No agreement from Skoda. Skoda are saying, nope, we're not doing that. We're not interested in that. We're interested in the Rally 2 platform, but we are not going back to the WRC. It's been 20 years since we've left the WRC as a manufacturer, and there's a good reason for it. Which is a shame. I mean, it makes sense, but it's also a shame. It would be nice to see another manufacturer up at that top level. Because elsewhere, we know that Lancia were the targets for this. They haven't actually said that they're going to do this. They said they're waiting to pan out with this, that, or the other as well. They're waiting to see how the Ypsilon platform will develop. We have one manufacturer committed to this. It's M Sport. The Fiesta with a Rally 2 kit will be able to compete. And M Sport, want to compete in the WRC. They've said, emphatically, they cannot build a Rally 1 car for next year. Heck, they may not be able to for 2028. Which means that for Malcolm Wilson, the Vice President of Sport, the FIA, he wants a way to be able to compete. I talked about this a little bit in Saturday's video about Mohammed Ben Sulayem. There is a lot of mates race cronyism going on in here. So, cap at €7,500, yeah, that sounds affordable. Being able to just show up with cars to the event, that sounds doable. M Sport are able to do that. You cut the costs for your mates who want to still compete but can't get manufacturer backing at the top level, because your top level package is basically Toyota and a couple of have it to go heroes. Like, it sounds dismissive to refer to Project Rally 1, who are the people who make the 992 Rally GT car from the Porsche Cup cars. who've got the likes of Yves Maton behind them. You know, somebody who's been leader of a World Rally Championship winning organisation in Citroën before. As a sort of have-it-a-go team, but compared to Toyota they are. And then you've got the Spanish providers as well. The thing is, the FIA said around Portugal time, we expect to announce another manufacturer in WRC 27 in the coming weeks. That still hasn't happened. Now, the rumour was that it could be Lancia with this kit platform. Lancia have said no. Is it that M Sport is this extra manufacturer that's been announced? If it is, that is not good for the WRC. But it's one of those things the FIA has seemed to be able to do consistently and constantly, which is shoot itself in the foot and claim, that wasn't me that did that, that was them over there. And to be able to fix a problem, you need to give me a new gun. It seems bizarre. Mohammed bin Sulayem has been trashing the F127 rules, which were designed under his presidency. He's been going, oh yeah, we're going to get rid of the V6s, we're going to go back to V8s. We could do V10s if we want to. And now we're seeing it again with the WRC. With World RX on hiatus and the future of that looking uncertain, there are supposed to be these new regulations for supercars coming in a couple of years' time for the return of World RX. What is the future of world motorsport? Because right now, the only FIA sanctioned series that I see is in a kind of golden age, a kind of boom, is hypercars. And even then, that's because they are converging with IMSA. That is because they are working with another organisation to make a rule set that works across both series. So is it the FIA needs to actively work with other groups to make these things work? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section down below, yeah? And as always, folks, thank you so much for watching, thank you for joining, and thank you for your continued support. And, yeah, let me know any thoughts you might have. Hope to see you over the coming days and weeks on this channel, as always. And, also as always, from me, bye for now.